So hello everyone. This is another masterclass with Protivity, our partner, and today's amazing speaker, Johanna ten Hove, and we are talking about cybersecurity. Just a short introduction to Johanna. Johanna leads the technology consulting practice at Protivity in Switzerland. She has over 15 years of experience in IT and information security in the public and private sector. And she has led and managed large-scale projects around the world, and more important, in cross-functional areas, and focusing on improving IT, information security, and business processes to reduce risk, increase efficiency, and profitability. And having said that, I would like to welcome our speaker for today, Johanna. And Johanna, I think you have experience in basically all this stuff where everyone else runs away: cybersecurity, identity and access management, security, governance, data protection, GDPR, name it. That's stuff where everyone says, well, this is so super boring. However, Johanna, the floor is yours, and maybe you can also a little bit explain what your company Protivity is doing.
Okay, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for joining. My name is Johanna ten Hove, and I am a cybersecurity professional. I'm based in Zurich, and I work for a company called Protivity, which is a global consulting firm, and cybersecurity is one of our areas of focus. And what do we do? So we help our clients protect their systems, their data, and their people from cyber attacks.
That sounds very, very good, Johanna. I think that in general, the whole, let's say, the people underestimate the importance of cyber and of security and of protecting their data. And what we have seen, we have cyber attacks, for universities, for cities, for energy, on energy sector, on hospitals. And of course, you get these emails, oh, sorry, my private account was hacked, etc., etc. The list is endless. And I do believe in general, we do not pay enough attention to this super, super important topic. And the important is obvious, because if you look at the jobs of the future, cybersecurity is among the first 5. So, Johanna, let us do a deep dive into the idea of the importance of cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity?
Okay, so to start, cybersecurity is a practice of protecting systems, networks, internet-connected devices, data and information from unauthorized access and from cyber attacks. Now, the cyber attacks are of malicious in nature, and they're aimed at accessing, changing, or destroying information, at extorting people and companies for money, and also at disrupting business processes, and also, as you have seen, a critical infrastructure as well. So that is cybersecurity in a nutshell. And as you have mentioned, it's extremely important right now because cyber crime is increasing. This year it's expected to rise up to 8 trillion francs, which is a huge amount of money. And you would ask yourself, why? Because it's so easy for people to run different types of schemes. I mean, it doesn't require that many technical skills. For example, if you think about the case of phishing, sending an email doesn't require a lot of technical skills. Now, most of these attacks are focused at people because they're the weakest link. So cybersecurity is very important to raise awareness, because not only with with companies, but also at the personal level to protect your data, your information, to prevent identity theft, for example, or being victims of fraud. But when it comes to companies, it could be damages in monetary damages, for example, reputational damages. It could also impact the safety of their employees and the privacy of their clients. The list is endless of all the consequences that could come from cybercrime.
Yeah, you already mentioned it. I have seen, my profession, I'm by training a lawyer, and I was always 100% sure that the lawyers are the easiest victim to cybersecurity, because as you said, it's the people who are who are giving access to the data. And therefore, because I was always wondering myself, why is it so easy, or where do all these people, skilled people, come from? Do they have IT training? Did they went to university? No, it is obviously already very, very easy, just like send me an email, and then everything is kind of, affected by this weakest person in a company. So I think this already is self-explanatory, that we have to do something to protect our data. Before I go deeper into it, I was wondering, because when it comes to all these data protection, GDPR, cybersecurity, IT, you always think, oh, this is not a job for a woman. So is this a career for a woman?
Oh, cybersecurity is for everyone. There's no gender in cybersecurity. Actually, we want more women to join the field. So as me as a woman, so I don't feel so lonely. It's still very highly male dominated. But it's not necessarily a career just for men. I think it's genderless. So.
Yeah. But you have a background in IT, and you have basically a background where I would say you find usually 90% men and maybe 10% of women studying this. So it is still male dominated till today, yeah.
And yes, it's getting better though. It's getting a lot better. Back when I started, even at university, I was the only woman. So it was very difficult to, let's say, be absent in class because the professor would notice. And even after 10 years, so after I finished my bachelor and was in the workforce for the decade, when I went back and did my master's of cybersecurity, we were only 4 women out of 25 people. So there was a huge increase in the number from just 1 to 4, but I think we could do a lot more when it comes to hopefully inspiring more women to join the field, because especially cybersecurity, it's a field for everyone. It's not just for technical people or just for men. There are many different entry points. It just depends on the area of focus that you would like to have within cybersecurity.
I think I will immediately jump into this, because as you said, it isn't necessary that you have an IT background, just because which skills are essential for cybersecurity? How do I get into this? Even if let's say, well, I see this huge potential, how do I make myself a little bit familiar? What are the different areas also of cybersecurity?
Okay. Okay, so first of all, you need to decide what attracts you to cybersecurity. So, and also, what is your idea of cybersecurity? Because a lot of people picture a hacker when it comes to cybersecurity. And even though ethical hacking or penetration tester is one of the roles, and it's very technical, there are other roles that are not as technical. That has to do with either awareness or educating users on cybersecurity, how to protect themselves, what to do in case they fall victims of a cyber attack. Or there's other fields that are also not so technical, like GRC, so governance, risk, and compliance, that is about the regulatory side of cybersecurity. So how to comply with the different regulations that are out there. I'm sure you have heard of GDPR. in the case of the United States, of HIPAA, when it comes to health records. So you could also be in that area as well, which is not as technical. Now, having the basic understanding of technology, especially networks and how the internet works, and the basic core concepts of cybersecurity will help you a lot. It will help you understand how these attacks originate, and help you prevent in the prevention or detection of this. It is not essential, but it will help you a lot. And also, even if you come from a non-technical background, you can always get the training that you need and close the skills gap that you have. So it all depends on your starting point. So where you are you at the beginning of your career, at the end, like in the middle of your career? Are you planning to switch careers? And also, where do you come from? Do you come from IT? Then it's a lot easier to move into cybersecurity because some of the skills are transferable. Then, yeah, it depends on where you want to go. And also, it's very important that you have a passion for learning, because in cybersecurity, that's what you do day in and out. You always read, you always keep current of what's out there, because that's the nature of the job. You need to try to stay ahead of cyber criminals, which is very, very difficult. And also, there's new technology coming out every day. So you also need to account for how are you now gonna secure these new technologies. And yeah, and if you are not so interested in continuously learning and upgrading your skill, and if you're not curious, then cybersecurity may not be the career for you. So it's I guess the most important part is to find out why do you want to get into the field. Take a look at what the role entails, what are the skills that are necessary. Try to take a look at where you stand, like the kind of skills that you have. If you start from, if you want to do a career switch, try to see which skills are transferable. So you're going to start from zero, and then make a career plan and begin your transition. The most important piece is be decided and take the first step.
Yeah, you are, as I said, you have this technical background, which of course makes it easier to work in this field. However, just tell me who else is in your team, and just tell me about what is a normal day-to-day business. Does that exist?
Well, not really, because everything is changing, and we work. So as a consultant, we work on projects. Our work is project based, and we work for different clients and different industries. And the work that we do, it depends on the client's needs. I could give you an example of my latest project. So I have been working for a client in the software industry. They wanted to have an overview of the state of cybersecurity and how it is performing within the different groups that they have internally within IT, but also in the organization. So IT, HR, information security, and other areas of the company. So so the project was about putting together a single pane of view and in a dashboard. So we compile all the information that are coming in from all the different systems that the company has, and also the different processes that they have in the case of HR when it comes to the onboarding of employees, and see how each area it's performing, and see which areas need improvement, and allocate resources accordingly. So not only people resources, but also investments in new technology, and see where the weaknesses are to protect the company. the company systems and company data, and just create a dashboard with a couple of KPIs and then track them over the year and use them to make decisions. So this is an example of a project that I have been working on.
Who else is in your team? You can't do this by yourself. What is their background? What's the background?
So it will depend on the nature of the job. So the example I just gave you, that is in the area of GRC. And for this project, we were actually an international team. So it was Switzerland, so myself as an SME and information security GRC. Then we had a couple of people in the United States, a couple of consultants in the United States, and then we had another consultant in the UK. So it was an international effort, and the nature of the business, I mean, what they needed, it was in the area of GRC, so everyone had a background in GRC. Now, if it's a regulatory finding, for example, and we're coming to remediate these findings, then the skill sets would be different. So it will depend on the client. If the client wants us to test their systems, then that would be penetration testers. So we bring in penetration testers from Switzerland, from Germany, from Bulgaria, from Italy, from whatever we have the expertise. We work as one firm, and then we also operate at a global scale. So it depends on the client location. So if they have a location in Italy, then we will work with our colleagues in Italy. If the client is in Germany, then we also would collaborate with our colleagues in Germany. It depends on the location, the client, the needs, the area. Yes.
A typical client comes to you because he says, or the client or she says, like, my company has been hacked, or I'm not sure, or there is a new law. What is a typical situation that a company says, we need your help?
Okay. Most of the time, they either want to improve their processes, or they want to test their systems. For example, they want to test for vulnerabilities in the network, the vulnerabilities of their web applications. And we come in with ethical hackers, which is your typical cybersecurity person that comes in and starts trying to break into their systems and see if we are able to break in. So we try and test for vulnerabilities, but we do not exploit them.
Yeah, sure. No, this type of ethical hacking, I think, is also very, I think it's very super interesting, because, you know, you do it to protect. That is something I think is super interesting. However, are you, for example, the typical that someone says we need your help, does that come from the IT person in this company, or the legal department, or from the CEO? Who is typically saying, whoa, be careful?
It is typical the CISO or someone in the information security department.
And they just say we need to have someone from outside to give it a double check, to just like that there are more people looking at it, to be 100% on the safe side.
Yeah, to be, for example, in the case of audit, to act as an independent third party that comes in and checks for compliance, and then give them our point of view of how compliant they are to certain regulations. It will depend on the nature of the audit. And let's say we also have cases for testing whether they are ready for ransomware, or like how to respond to a ransomware attack. That's something else that we also do, ransomware readiness assessment.
Yeah, given the shortage in people with a background like yours, I assume with a background like yours, you assume you earn a fortune, and you can get a job, whatever you want to have in cybersecurity. How often are you approached by a headhunter?
Okay. Well, I would say you always have someone reaching out to you on LinkedIn, and yeah, they go through different profiles and see see attractive ones, and they come to you and they ask you, hey, would you be interested in joining this or that, or on this opportunity? And yeah, so it's I think it happens quite often, yes, that people
Yeah,
approach you.
I assume, you have already spoken about this lifelong learning. And I think today, in basically regardless where you work, maybe not necessarily as a hairdresser, but all the other jobs, you have to be prepared for lifelong long learning, which I think is super great. And this is also the, let's say, that gives you the possibility to work in cybersecurity. Also, you don't have a technical background. However, I think there are a lot of people out, they don't have one, and they would love to. How do you prepare yourself for getting into this area? Is there anything out in terms of podcasts or whatever, LinkedIn learning? Is there anything comparable? What would you advice to someone who would say, well, I'm in my 30s and I would like to move into cyber? What would you do? What would you ask?
Okay, well, first of all, find out which area you're interested in, right? And then from there are a couple of resources that
may I drop in? Sorry for interrupting you,
sure.
but area of cybersecurity. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yes. For example, you have the very technical areas, which is your penetration testing, your vulnerability management, a role within the security operations centers, monitoring the activities that are happening within your system. Then as I mentioned, there's also awareness, where it's more about educating people. Then there's another area, GRC, which deals more with the regulatory side of cybersecurity.
Sure.
There's audit, and there's also cloud security, application security. These two are more technical. Cloud security is an area that's growing a lot in popularity lately, just because more companies are moving to the cloud, and it's also important to secure this environment. Just because you put now your data to the cloud, you also have to take into consideration how to secure this, how to go from on-premise to a cloud environment. And so there are many different areas. There's also sales in cybersecurity. So there are a lot of cybersecurity or security products out there, and this could be also another entry point for you if you are interested in learning cybersecurity. You could go into sales and get to learn how the product work. And by doing demos, learning about the tool, you will indirectly learn a lot about cybersecurity. Then there's also project management and information security. There's all these companies need to implement security programs, and for these, you not only need your technical people, but you need your people manager, your project managers, and this is where the less technical people could find an easy way into managing this this project.
Sure. Sorry, I was interrupting you, and the original question was like, do you have any recommendations on online resources? No, I was the one who jumped in with another question. So do you have any recommendations on online resources like websites, podcasts, or something comparable?
Yes, for careers to get started, I usually use cybersec.org. It's a website that helps you.
Can you write it in the chat?
Yes. And let me just put it in the chat real quick, or otherwise we could share after the call.
Yeah, I want to share it after, and I also want to share it so with our community. Those who are not here today, very good, thank you.
Yes, so it's cybersec.org. Once you go to the website, you can see the different roles and career path within cybersecurity. It also tells you the demand that is in the market, and it also gives you even salary information, which is quite interesting. So it's a very good site to help you get started and plan out your career, understanding exactly what people do in these different roles, the skill sets that you require, and then that could help you bridge the gap on your current skills. And then from there, take the education. Now, education doesn't have to be expensive. It could be free resources like you were just mentioning. So LinkedIn Learning it's one of them. Udemy. And then we have Pluralsight, Coursera. It's also another good forum, and YouTube. You could go on YouTube and you have countless of videos in cybersecurity and the different domains, more explanations about careers, help you prepare for certifications because these are also important, and help you track your career path. These would be the resources I usually use, and some of them are free, like YouTube. Just go in there.
Is it a problem if you just, like, let's say I always call it the YouTube University or Udemy, and is there, let's say, are there institutions like, for example, Khan Academy or something like this, where you get certifications that have a certain value rather than just like I watch 2 YouTube videos to confirm I'm an expert? That's always a little bit, because the people who will hire you, they will have a kind of understanding whether you really have this background you're pretending.
Well, when it comes to credentials, I would say, well, and a bachelor's or master's, that would be the traditional way, and that would be a good credential to have. Then boot camps are also quite common nowadays. They have boot camps for like 6 months, and they teach you the skills on the job. So they're very hands-on trainings, and it's basically it's very intense, let's say 6 months, or depending on the length of the boot camps, where you get actual experience in the different areas of cybersecurity, whatever the boot camp is specializing on. And so this could be one of them. Now, when it comes to I would say actual certificates, I would go for getting certified in industry standard certifications, such as the CISSP, which is Certified Information Systems Security Professional. This is the gold standard in cybersecurity. However, for this you need 5 years of experience, so this may not help you if you are at the beginning of your career, but you could go for other certifications such as the CompTIA Security Plus. If you're in auditing, you could do the CISA, which is Certified Information Systems Auditor. Their Security Plus as well. There are many certifications that you could take in the area of cybersecurity that could help you build some credentials and some creativity some credentials for and credibility for cybersecurity.
So in what I heard is like that you expect cybersecurity being, of course, as a good career, that goes without saying, because otherwise it wouldn't list in those jobs that are most sought after for the next years. How do you see cybersecurity in, let's say, 2-3 years already today, in the light of, all these new technologies, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, chat, GTP. What do you think will be the impact on cybersecurity?
Well, you can already see the impact that AI is bringing to information security in the area of monitoring. It's speeding, it's helping immensely in identifying patterns and detection. It's making processes more efficient. And so that's a positive aspect of emerging technologies such as AI. Now, the newest, I would say that the newest thing would be ChatGPT. Now that could show you a little bit of the exploitation or the negative effects of emerging technologies that is very like in its infancy, but at the same time it's very powerful, because you could ask ChatGPT, hey, show me a code that I could that would help me crack a password, for example, and then the computer will just share it, because it's a computer. It cannot process whether something is going to be used for the good or for the bad. So you have to be careful with new technology, and also be cautious about your privacy, because, for example, you're not going to put personal information there because you don't know what purposes this information will be stored. So you don't want that information to either be leaked or exploited at some point. So it keeps us busy.
Yeah, no, it is like, I've used ChatGPT for some of my, just like as we all have done. This is just a mixture between totally really horrifying and of course totally easy. Oh wow, what a cool text, I don't need to write it by myself. However, you were addressing something else, and this is something I would like to have your opinion on as well. We all carry our smartphones, and we do have, some of us, I installed a password protector, a password once. I had a lesson about hate aid and how people are just like victims of internet hate speeches, etc., etc. I immediately bought the premium version of a password protector. However, from your point of view, how would you advise people on a day-to-day business to protect their, let's say, smartphones, etc., etc.?
Well, first try to keep your device current. So make sure that it's updated. Those releases that many people think are annoying, that a new version of the software have been updated, downloaded. Most of us ignore it, or just see it as an annoyance. So we don't take an active actions towards those, but these releases are to help to fix vulnerabilities. So it is very important for you as an individual to keep your devices current. Also, don't download applications that you don't know the vendor, because they might contain spyware, adware, malware, and then you get your phone infected, and yes, then your security is breached. Also, a lot of well, the new trend that I see is that I get a lot of phishing text messages. So don't click on those. We're human, but curiosity killed the cat. So whenever you see a message, lately I myself have been getting those text messages. Oh, you have a new package. Click here to view the status, or click here to clear its release from customs. Now, sometimes it could be a coincidence that you're waiting for a package and just click on it, and then they ask you to enter your credentials, and then your credentials get stolen. So be very careful when it comes to text messages from sources that you don't recognize. also internet, wireless networks. So most of us, when we are in a place, we try to connect to the Wi-Fi. We don't care as long as we get some. We don't care much about our security as long as we get connected to the internet. And this is and this could be dangerous because you don't know who's providing that internet and if it's being monitored or not. So your connections could be intercepted, and then you fall victim of
Thank you very much. But I also would like to know at the end of this talk, you mentioned that you are running an NGO, or that not running, that you are part of cybersecurity network in Switzerland. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, I am a She Leads Tech ambassador, which is an initiative from my SACA, which is a professional association for cybersecurity. It's a certification authority. For example, the one I mentioned before, the CISA certification. This is the organization that grants these certifications. It's not only for auditors, and they also have for information security management, which is the CISM. And within this She Leads Tech initiative, we focus on women, on attracting more women into the field, and also trying to help women to reach positions in leadership, because once you are at the top, you could pull the other women that are after you, and also inspire other women to join the field just by having a role model. So She Leads Tech, it's the initiative that we're running here in Switzerland, and if anyone's interested in joining, they could contact me, and then I could send them more information about the group, how to join, and participate in community events.
No, I think you are for sure a role model in this field, Johanna. And I thank you so much for giving this talk today. We are going to make this video and snippets of this video available for our members. And as I said before, we are going to we are going to spend more time on cyber and all these hot topics, and for sure on lifelong learning. And having said that, Johanna, I thank you very, very much for this wonderful talk, and also our partner Protivity. And I wish you a wonderful evening, and thank you so much that you joined today and gave this talk.
Thank you, Petra. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
All the best, and bye-bye to everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.